Hello, everyone. This is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. As we move into our retirement and looking at, reinventing ourselves as women in our 60s, we sometimes don't know where to start. And, of course, it starts with a confidence and a change in our mindset about what we can do, but it also requires some practical steps. So my guest today is John Tarnoff. John is a career development consultant. He is a speaker and an educator, and he has a past experience in the media and entertainment business. So he's done a lot of stuff in his life. And John's specialty right now, though, is to work with boomers to help them to make this transition from their 60s into the workplace, today's workplace. And I would like to welcome you here, John. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure, Margaret. Great to be with you.
It's wonderful to have you here, and hopefully you're going to help us navigate some of this transition that a lot of women and men are going through in their 60s. So,
we'll give it a shot.
Good, thank you. So we want to do something different with our lives. We want to reinvent ourselves. Tell us how we get started with that.
Well, I'll just begin with a bit of a personal story.
Okay.
And talk about the reason why I'm into this and what helped me make this transition into this particular work. So as you said, I come out of the media entertainment business. I was a film studio executive for many years. I had a technology startup during the 90s bubble. And I hit a career wall after that bubble burst in 1999, 2001. And I really had no idea what I was going to do. And so I went back to school, earned a master's degree in psychology, and completely turned my life around, focused from one side of the entertainment business to another. So I started out being focused on story and script and what makes this movie go versus the other movie go. But then I got this hit to really be focused on people and what makes this person successful versus another. Wound up at DreamWorks Animation running their internal artistic training programs and outreaching to schools and really helping them change their culture. And out of that focus on people, I began, particularly after the recession hit, I began to think about my generation, about our generation, about the boomers. Yeah. And what was going on with us and what we needed to do, and taking some of those reinvention practices that I had developed for myself, certainly in this past transition into the DreamWorks job, but also through the prior 20 or so years in entertainment, of having had 18 different positions over 35 years, and in doing the statistics, realizing that I've been fired 39% of the time, right? So that's kind of a funny, the laugh kind of freezes in your throat, but it is the truth, right? So it's something that I have to look at, and I think we all have to look at our history, who we are, what we've done, and face up to that reality. So I'm kind of backing into this process that I've figured out, which I call the 5 stages of reinvention for boomers, which is really a process that starts on the inside and then cycles around to allow us to re-engage more successfully on the outside as part of redefining, reinventing, reimagining, re-energizing, renewing our careers and our lifestyles. And I think the most important thing and the most important place to start is the reframing process. And in psychology, the idea of reframing is to take an accepted mode of looking at something and look at it from a different angle. And usually to do this in a positive way. So very often we say, I can't do that. I can't reinvent myself. I can't do that kind of a job. Oh, I'm not that kind of a person. Well, really? I mean, who says? Well, you say. Right? This is a limiting belief which we have foisted on ourselves. We've reinforced this over time based on past experience, past success, past failure, past hurts, and we've said no, I'm not going there anymore because that's not good.
Yeah, or we get used to doing things that we do well. We were a teacher for years, so we know that's in our comfort zone. But when but when you think about how to push that mindset to the next level, I think that's where you're going with this, which is great.
Comfort zone is a big, big part of it. I like to say that safe isn't, right? We have an illusion going that, this is what I know, this is what I do, this is who I am. You're not your job. You're not your resume. You are a work in progress, right? And we have to be able to move beyond that. So that's the first step. The second step that I suggest after the willingness to reframe is the willingness to listen, because a lot of what we can do and should do is out there, and other people who are around us and close to us see it. They may not be telling us. They may not want to hurt our feelings, but we need to ask them for the real feedback, for the really important stuff that they're seeing that's holding us back, and we need to listen. So a lot of that's about asking questions, about putting ourselves in a compassionate frame of mind towards other people, towards ourselves. We're so used to wanting to get our point across and having other people understand us. But as Stephen Covey says in the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's the listening process.
And there's listening, and then there's listening. And I suppose it's also the person that you're listening to. You have to open your mind and your heart to what they are, the perspective that they're bringing. But honesty's kind of tough, even with friends, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, life is full of information. And I think if we take this as information, then it helps us to process it a little bit better, rather than saying, well, they hate me.
So there's reframing and there's listening. What's third?
The third step is accepting. And accepting is being willing to process what you've listened to, what you've heard, look at yourself, look at your life, and accept who you are today. Clear the past. These limiting beliefs, this sense of shame that we might have about who we are and what we've done. It's done. We have to think of life as a series of lessons and accept life as a series of lessons if we're going to move on. Because to the extent that we have not accepted ourselves and our lives and everything in them, that's going to stand in our way when we try to reimagine who we could be tomorrow.
This is hard, though. This is really hard. And I don't know whether it's harder for women or for men, but I think women do sometimes internalize failure as being a reflection of their personality. And I mean, I've talked to a lot of women in the community about this. And I wrote an article about it, about this let it go syndrome, the good girl syndrome, and this need to just let that go. We try to please everybody. We try to be the good girl. And so anyway, but that's important, I think, to let those accept the past.
And each of us has to go through this in a different way. I've chosen this sequence because I feel like this sequence, starting with the reframing and then the listening, helps us into the accepting. Yeah. Right? For sure. Because if we start small and think, okay, maybe I can look at this a little bit differently. Let me hear what people have to say. Then when we get into the accepting part of it, we can reference those two previous steps. And I hope for some people who have a challenge here that it can help them get over that hump and say, okay, I don't like it. I accept it. And I think, right, we don't have to like what we accept, right? Right.
That's at the heart of acceptance, really, isn't it? Being unconditional about it. So, John, what is the fourth step that you would want to talk about?
So the first 3 steps are the reconciliation, what I call the reconciliation stages. Right. And you have to go through those stages in order to be able to start the reinvention, reintegration, reimagination, reinvigoration process.
All the re's.
All the re's, exactly. And so that 4th step is what I call express. And it's the idea of expressing to ourselves primarily who we are, where we are today, what we want to do, our dreams, our vision. There's a lot of internal process here, a lot of journaling, a lot of creating living visions. There are a number of techniques that we can use over a period of time. This is not a weekend kind of a thing. This is about living in your vision of who you can be and finding out, because it's a progression. You might start out feeling like, well, I've always wanted to open up a restaurant in a seaside town or buy a B&B in Mexico. And the more you write about this, the more you visualize it, the more you talk about it with the people who are near and dear to you, that vision begins to move. And it may move more in the direction, it may center more in the direction of where you're going, and it may take another form. Something may come in from left field, and you think, wow, I never thought about that. Or maybe someone will say to you, yeah, that B&B sounds like a good idea, but I've always seen you as this.
A bookseller. Yeah. But, and I think that's what you're saying in this stage is to let it go as far as your ideas could take you and go back to your childhood and the things that you loved to do then. But then of course there is that practical element of not just doing what you love. You have a lot of other things once you've determined that thing. So is that the fifth by any chance, sir?
No, I just want to back up about that, about that practical element.
Okay.
I think we tend to, and this is the Puritan tradition that we come from in this country, certainly. We tend to think that what we do can't be fun, right? That we have to be practical. And I hear my mother, who was very practical, not much of an artist, saying this to me when I told her that I wanted to get into the movie business. And she thought that I would be a much better lawyer than a movie producer. And I could have gone to law school and I would have slit my wrists, and that would have been the end of it.
Very depressing.
So I think where I would synthesize is the idea that what can be fun, what is your heart's desire, can be practical, number one. And more radical than that, I would say at this stage in our lives, if it's not fun, why do it? Yeah, right?
It's a good point.
There's a certain, on the one hand, it's a luxury. On the other hand, it's a ticking clock that we better do something now. If we're going to really be lying there with our loved ones surrounding us as we're transitioning and feel like we did a good job, it's because we followed our heart, right?
No, I agree with you there. So what is the fifth point that you would, stage?
The fifth is connection. The fifth is connect. Okay. Get out there. But again, it's from that personal perspective. This is not about saying, okay, I got to do my resume. I got to do 5 different versions of my resume. I've seen these jobs online or whatever that is. It's about people, right? It's about your network. And we are in an amazing time where we can network and meet literally thousands of people through our abilities, social media, to connect in the world. So our generation has to get on the ball here. I think you and I are good examples of people our age who have not been stopped by, I'm so intimidated by technology, to get out there and give it a shot and make connections and meet people. And, this is where the express part comes in, because if you know who you are and what you want to do, and then you're connecting with other people who say, so what are you about? And you say, well, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what my heart's desire is. And this is what my passion is. They will say, oh, okay, I get that. I'm not the right person, but I do know someone who is the right person. And those connections are what get you into that next career incarnation, the lifestyle incarnation. It's all about the people in the network.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in fact, what you've just said, that social connection is in a way what grounds the dream, because you then can start talking to people who fill the gaps you don't have. So if you're wanting to start a website for your business, but you don't know anything about SEO, or, you don't know anything about how to build a website, your network can help you activate your dream. So
ask for assistance, right?
Yeah. Which is a hard thing for some people.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
But we owe it to ourselves at this point in our lives. We've done a lot. We've in I would say many, if not most cases, we've been in long-term relationships. We've raised families. We've gone through all sorts of changes. We've supported our loved ones through lots of transitions and changes and trauma. We deserve it. We deserve to have some success, and the wisdom that we've gained through living through all this stuff, our life experience, this matters. Yeah. This really matters. We can't discount it. I think we're too prone to discounting all of this stuff, and we undervalue ourselves tremendously because we think, who am I? Right? Well,
yeah. No, this is great advice. And, those 5 steps are extremely practical and also very inspiring. So I would encourage people to go to your website and look at what you offer and guide, them through those stages. Tell us your website again if people want to get in touch with you.
Well, there are two websites. One is the website that really is about all of this reinvention process called boomerreinvention.com.
Okay.
That's just boomerreinvention, one word, .com. And then I also have a personal consulting website at johntarnoff.com, JOHNTARNOFF.com, which is more focused on workshops and practical skills that circle around the 5 stages.
It's fantastic. Well, I encourage people to go to the site. I've been to johntarnoff.com and it's a great site. And we'll put that information on the video so people will be able to find you easily. Thank you so much for being here, John. It's been really great talking with you. Thanks again. Thank you.